Webinar series for our Michell University. Today we're going to be working with Infor FACTS, and we're going to be going over the accounts payable document entry process. For purpose of the demo, we're working with FACTS version 7.8, but this functionality is available in the other older versions as well. So let's talk about what we're going to do here. We're going to go actually from our main menu. We're going to go into accounts payable. And here, accounts payable, not accounts receivable. And here we have our document entry. Now, what this allows us to do, when we talk about document entry from this standpoint, this is for what we call service AP invoices. These are AP invoices not really related to product. These would be things like the rent, mortgage, and so on, things that are actually going against a general ledger account. To actually do AP invoicing for merchandise is done through the purchasing system. And we do have a detailed webinar on our site. So if you visit our site, www.michellgroup.com, you can see that concept. What that concept allows you to do, and I'm just going to show you real quick, if I go into PO, and here you have the invoicing. So what this does allows you to basically create the invoice that's related to PO receivings, goods receivings, and so on. And then what this program will do was actually then create the document in AP. Okay, you won't be able to edit it in the AP, but it'll show up on the document adjustment register, and then you would do the posting. So again, that we do have a detailed webinar on that on our site, so you can visit us and see that. So let's go through the modules here, what we're going to talk about today. The first one is document entry. This is what allows us to, again, enter the AP invoice. The document adjustment entry allows us to make an adjustment to an AP invoice that's already been posted. So for example, if I enter something and I entered it for $1,000 and it should have been $950, I can do the adjustment. If I entered it for $1,000, it should have been $1,100, I can do that. If I posted against a GL account and it was the incorrect GL account, I can change my GL account. I can do all that through the document adjustment entry. The document change file maintenance allows us to change specific things on a document, namely related to due dates, discount percentages, and so on. You can't change actual amounts. You have to use the document adjustment entry. But this is a nice functionality because if somebody calls up and you forgot to enter the discount, or it's due in 30 days, but there's a problem, so the vendor's going to give you an additional, 10 extra days, you want to change that. We can do that. The recurring document is a submodule, which we covered in another webinar. So again, if you visit our site, you can see that. What this allows us to do basically is by doing this, you can set recurring. These are things that will happen, like, say, on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. These are things like amortizations, loans, the rent, things that happen that you want to set it up and just run it every month. When you run this process will then create the document entry. So it just allows you, instead of having to go in and enter the mortgage payment, enter the rent, enter the lease payments, you can run the recurring documents, it'll do it for you. And again, we do have a webinar on that, so you can view that as well. So let's start with the document entry. So here we're going to go in, and we're going to enter invoices. We know that from working with FACTS, we can see our current period. Our accounts payable current period is May 2013. Again, I'm just using this for the demo purposes. We know that we can post in the current period and one period forward. So you can see here by default, we're in period 5. All right, but we can go and select a current period. So we can actually go here in June. We can go one period forward. We really can't go back. Here again, we enter our vendor, and we can do a couple things. If you notice down here at the screen, if you know the vendor number, you can enter it. You can use the F2 for the vendor search to search, and you can use the F3 for the document search. You can also, again, do the vendor search here, which is the F2, and the document search here, which is the F3. The document search is that if I enter an invoice, you can call it back up. Now remember, we talked about in the navigation of FACTS, FACTS is a batch processing system, which means we use the principle of enter, print, and update. So we enter information, That information we're going to enter here is not going to post. It's not going to affect the general ledger, not going to affect the customer's aging, anything. It's in a temporary file. From there, we run a register report or journal, a sales journal, whatever you want to call it. We run that register report. We can then check everything, make sure it's okay. If something's wrong, before we do the update, we can come back here at the document search. We can enter it. We can make our changes. We can rerun the report, and then when we're done, we do the update, and the update's going to update everything. So if I have 10 documents here, they all get updated. That's how kind of a batch processing system works. Let's just do an F2, and we're just going to call up this first vendor here. Okay, so here's the document number. This should be the AP invoice number, so it's going to go like that. You can reference POs. Again, normally this functionality is used when you're dealing with the service side. On the AP side, this will actually be the PO number. In this case, since we're doing a service-related invoice, we really don't have a purchase order. This information here, the GL table, this is actually coming from the vendor master file. This is the posting table. So again, you can create different types of postings. And again, I'm just that vendor you can see is an inventory vendor. I'm just going to change this to travel. Again, you saw that what I did here is I pressed here and I picked up because I want to pull travel. Again, I'm picking a vendor at random, so I picked a vendor that's not a travel vendor. But again, you can do document groups. You can group the documents here in different types. So if you want to have multiple document groups, and this really comes into play with the recurring payables as well, because in the recurring payables you have document groups, because you can have a recurring payable. Let's say you have a vendor which is your bank, Citibank, and you have multiple loans. So you have one that's due on the 1st and one that's due on the 10th. What you want to do is you want to create 2 recurring payables, and you can group them this way. You can also select your branch. Again, if you're set up with branches, my demo has 2 branches, the Atlanta branch and the Dallas branch. I'm actually logged into the Atlanta branch. That's why it's coming up as my default. You can see the terms. The terms are coming from, again, the vendor file. So he's net 10. This is the amount. So actually, I'm going to pick this one here with a discount, okay? Because I want to show the discount concept. So here's the amount. So we're going to put $1,000. Right. The document discount amount, that's the amount that's subject to a discount. So in this case, for my terms, I'm using 10%, 2% net 10 due 30 days. That means that if I pay this invoice within 10 days, I'm allowed to take 2% off the invoice. And then the rest is due in 30 days. Now, I could change this because let's say the amount up here, let's say this was $1,025, okay? And let's say $25 was a freight charge or something that's not subject to the discount. I'm not allowed to take a discount on that $25 freight. So what I can do here is I can change this like this. So what I'm telling FACTS is that the 2% discount is only good on the $1,000. That's why it shows you the $20 here. Again, you can override and edit this if you want to do it. The document date, again, it's just defaulting to a date. Again, it's just defaulting to the current period, but you can go ahead, and since I'm in May, I'm going to say this is 05/05/13. Again, I'm using a document date that's within the current period for my demo. You can see the due date by default. It's picking the 30 days. It's showing you on the due date. It's picking that up. Again, you can override the date if you wish. Here you can write a memo. If you want, you can put a memo. And here now we're doing the GL. So again, because I linked to that GL table, what it's doing is this GL table I have preset for this office expense. Because remember, I have the travel and office. So again, I can do that. I can also go in here and select a GL account. So here, what happens is, in my GL table, I can create up to 5 GL accounts. This one I only have 1 office expense, but I can do this. So what I can do, I can select off this list, or I can go here to the GL search, and now I'm searching my entire general ledger. So again, if I need to change that, I can do that. But normally, if I set up my vendors correct, since this vendor is for office expenses, it's going to come here to office expense. Okay, so I don't really need to do that. I can also just default the entire amount, or I can separate this. So let's say we're going to put $500 against that general ledger account. So when I do that, you'll see it's going to open up the line again. You can see that I have an undistributed amount of $525. So I can do the same thing. I can select a GL account. And let's just go here to numbers. And we did office expense there, and let's just add a miscellaneous expense. And then again, I can continue doing this. Once I've fully distributed, you can see here I'm fully distributed. My undistributed amount is equal to 0. I'm done. Again, at this point, I would just F4 back, and I'm done. All right, I'm ready for my next one. Now, I entered that, so now that I entered that, I can click here in the document search, and you can see here is the document. Again, this document's in the register because I haven't posted yet, so I can just double-click, and I can call it up, and I can make any changes I want to it. I can go into the header details up here and see some more detail information. Again, if I want to change all this information here, I can do it there. I can also do it just as easily up here. Okay? I can go here and I can add a line. I can remove one of the lines. I can go in and insert a new line. I can edit a line. So I can make any changes to it. So if I made a mistake, I can go ahead and actually do that. Okay, so let's click Done. And let's do one more. So let's pick, we'll pick this next vendor. So again, we're going to put a document here. And again, I'm just going to let this flow through the normal process because normally this should be all set up. I'm going to put an amount of 500. Okay, there's the discount amount. And you notice that there's no discount here because my term is not a term. It's just net 10. It has nothing to do with any type of discount. So again, 0510 13. And again, you can see how it picked it up. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to put the whole amount. Okay. And then see how this telephone came up. Now, the reason why this telephone came up, if you do this search, under this GL table, I have number 2. I have these two. So I can have just popped up and searched the ones I want, or I can split it. So that will come up. But I'm done. So I'm just going to F4 to go back, and I'm going to click Done. If I need to delete, I can always call the document back up. If I totally made a mistake, I want to start all over again, I can go File, and I can delete the document. You have some functions in here. You can also do the edit. You can do the add, insert, and delete lines from up here, which is the same as down here. You can view if you have any POs archived, if there's POs related to this. You can look at some options, like you can go right here to the header detail. Again, you can do it through the menu, personal preference, and there's a go-to. Again, if you want to go, depending where you are, into different things set up. But normally, you just go ahead. So simple. We entered this. We're done. We're going to click Done. Okay. I'm going to actually go to the adjustment register right now, and I'm going to post that, and I want to get those two in, and I'm going to show you this other information here as far as what we can change. So we're going to go here to the adjustment register. So again, remember we're looking at our current period. We have the option of posting to the current period or one period forward. Okay, we have our branch here. All right. Again, we're working with the Atlanta branch. We can print the name. And I'm just printing to a file. I'm just printing to the screen. But what you can do is in your print options, under your properties, you can, again, choose different printers here. You can also, if you have the archiving system, which is a nice functionality, a lot of people use the archive. The archive allows us to save this and view it without having to print it. One of the things that's nice, about the archive if it actually saves paper, because in FACTS, anytime you do an update, you have to have a documentation. You have to print something. So it makes you print. So what we can do is we can actually archive this, right? And the archiving is going to save it in a file and let us view it, so we don't have to waste paper. So we can do that. You can see it says archive. We're going to click OK. And then it's setting up an archive. I can actually give it a number here. And again, I can have my different libraries set up in the archiving function. So you can have different libraries. Normally we do is we create a library for accounts payable, accounts receivable, sales. Just makes it easy to find the information. And again, we do have a detailed webinar on the archive system on our website, so you can visit that. So here, again, we're going to look at the register. And we're going to say yes to the archive is complete. And now we have this option. And this is what's nice. We can say continue, which means just post. So we don't even have to print anything. We can still print the hard copy if we wanted to, or we can actually just view it. So we're going to go to view. So what we're looking at here is the view. So again, the nice thing about it is I can view it. So again, here's my document register. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Again, here's my document adjustment register. You can see this is what I entered. This is the GL account. This is my beginning AP balance. This is what I'm entering, this amount. And this is going to be my ending. Okay, this. Oops. This is my GL distribution. This is what's going to happen. So, for example, accounts payable. We're going to credit accounts payable for this amount. Okay, and we're going to debit. Again, you can see the office expense, the miscellaneous, and the utilities. Okay, so we have all that information there. So the nice thing about that is, see now, if I'm ready to update, I can do it. If I say no, it's not going to update. But since I viewed everything and I checked it, I'm going to say yes to update. All right, so now I've updated everything. And I've updated my general ledger. So if I go back to my document entry, adjustment entry here, I'll have nothing in the file. If I go here and I go to view, I don't have anything because I just posted those two. So the archive is nice functionality for that. You know, we like the archive because again, it just saves paper and it's there. Another problem is people print, and at the end of the month they print an aging report and they have a piece of paper and then they misplace it or they can't find it, and then the auditors come in and they want to see a copy, and well, if you lose it, then you don't have a copy of it. This way it's archived and it's in a file. It can be printed anytime you want to. So let's look at a couple of things. We're going to come back to this. Let's look at now the other one. So now we've already entered it, and we realize, oh, we made a mistake. So here we can go to the document adjustment entry, and we can look at stuff that we've already posted. So let's call up our first vendor. Oops. And then here, now here you don't have this function. You haven't entered, but now I can search the documents that I've already updated or already posted. So I can go here and find the document that I just entered here. You can see the current amount. This is what he owes. So I entered this amount, and I can click OK. Now here I can do a couple things. I can put an adjustment amount. So if I want, I can do that. I can also go through and do just the GL account. So let's say this one, I don't want to adjust the amount, but I want to adjust this. I chose the wrong account. It shouldn't have been office expense. So I can come here, I could put minus 1025. All right, then I can go choose my accounts. Go here to numbers. And we're going to choose the miscellaneous expense. And I'm going to just do that. I'm going to put that amount. So now I'm back to zero here. So the nice thing about the adjustment, it allows me, instead of having to do a journal entry, It allows me to do it here, and then all my AP distribution reports at the end of the month will be in balance. Because I didn't make a mistake on the amount, but I made a mistake on this. It wasn't really office expense. It should have been a miscellaneous expense. I didn't catch it till after I posted it, so I want to make that change. So I can do that. Again, just F4, and I'm done. I can also go here, and let's pick our other one. And now if I want to change the amount, and again, the reason why this is here, because since I'm changing amounts or changing information, I'm affecting the historical files. So what I need to do is call it up, and I still have to basically post it. So I can go either way. So if this should have been, if I put $5, okay, I'm going to increase it to $5.05. If I put minus $5, I'm going to decrease it. So I made a mistake. You know, it's going to put an extra $5. And again, I'm going to select my GL account. This one I'm going to select the same GL account. So what I'm doing is I'm adding $5 to the document. Again, this is a nice functionality in FACTS, because in a lot of systems you would have to create a whole new invoice for the $5 or a credit memo for the minus $5, you know, and then you lose the link of the documents. Here I'm just putting it all together, so it makes it a lot easier. So again, I'm just going to F4 and be done. So now let's go back and let's run our register. Okay, we'll do the same thing. We'll just, again, let's just go to archive. We'll just print it to the file. You saw the archive, so I'm just going to print it to a file. So again, you can see what's happening. You can see here that the current amount was 500. The adjusted amount is 5. So there's my new current. This one we didn't change anything. This one here is a GL distribution that you see. So we added $5 to that GL account, and then we did this right here. If we look at the GL distribution, again, we're going to see the total effect. Accounts payable, we added $5, so we're going to credit accounts payable. And again, the office expense here, we're going to debit and credit this right here. We're going to credit this to remove the original debit we did. We're going to debit this to put in the new one, and then we're going to put our $5 here. So again, it's nice, and again, here we're going to say yes to update. Okay, so now remember, if we go back to the document adjustment entry, and we do our search, we don't have anything there because we updated everything. Now the other one here, the document change, this one allows me, just like I said, to change things that don't really affect the historical stuff. So if I go here to change, again, I would search my vendor. I would search my documents. But notice here, I'm not changing any of the amounts, right? I'm not changing the document type. I'm not changing the document number. So all it's letting me do is change things that, you know, kind of like in the future. So the current discount right now, this is a payment discount. So this says that if I pay on time, I can get my $20. Maybe afterwards there was a problem and I want to give more or less a discount. So I can change this to 25. Again, I'm not affecting general ledger because the general ledger, the payment discount GL account will be affected at time of payment. I haven't paid it yet. Same thing with the entry date. I can't really change the other information, but I can change the entry date, the due date, the discount date, and I can also change the period. So let's say I entered this. It is a typical thing that happens at the end of the month. I entered this, you know, in the beginning of June, and I made a mistake, and it really should have gone to May. So what I can do is I can change the entry period as long as I have that period open. So if May is open, and typically this happens at the beginning, it's June 2nd, and I'm entering some documents that related to May. But I made a mistake, and I wasn't paying attention. I accidentally put them to June. As long as May is still a current period, it's not closed, I can go back into that current period. So it allows me to change all this type of information. Again, it's not changing this per se. That's why you don't have to really post. Once I save, you'll see that next time I come in, let's go new. And let's choose again. Now you'll see the $25 will be there. Oh, let me choose the right one here. So again, it kept the 25. So again, what I'm doing here is not really changing historical files. It's not like because remember, when I enter the invoice and I enter this amount, I posted that amount to the aging, I posted that amount to my GL distribution and all my historical files. So if I change that, I got to, in essence, go through the program of running the registers and reposting. Here, I'm just setting this kind of stuff up. And the same thing, if I want to I have some extra time, instead of it being due here, I want to make it, this kind of stuff. So again, I'm affecting just things in the future that haven't really happened yet. So it's going to show my aging and different stuff like that. So the document change file maintenance is to change things that are not really affected in the general ledger or haven't been posted. It's just that type of information, as opposed to the other one, which is the document adjustment, allows me to actually make an adjustment. So since I'm adjusting amounts and GL accounts, I need to go through the register again to see that. All right. So let's kind of recap what we did today. We went to an accounts payable, the document entry. This document entry is used for entering what we call service or expense AP invoices, things not related to merchandise, rent and telephone and that kind of stuff. The stuff that affects the inventory based on merchandise you received would be the invoicing through the purchasing system. And we do have a webinar on that. So if you visit our website, you can see that. So the document entry basically allows me to go in and enter the information on a document. So again, I can select my vendor. Okay, I can enter my document or my invoice number. Again, this is all coming from the vendor file, but I can edit this if I wanted to. So you can see, which one are we picking up here? So you can see this is 2. This is the utilities one, but I can change it if I want. Again, the document group is just grouping these different documents. The branch, in my case, I have 2 branches, Atlanta and Dallas, but I'm posting this to the Atlanta branch, which is my default branch. But I could change that. My terms, again, I can pick a different term. This is the amount. This is the total amount of the AP invoice I'm entering. So let's put it, again, the 1,025. This is the amount subject to discount. So in this case, we can say the entire amount, or the example I gave, the $25 freight is not subject to discount. So I'm only allowed to take the discount here. And you'll notice that this amount will change from $20.50 to 20, because I can only take the 2% discount on the 1,000, not the 1,025. The document date, or again, the invoice date. Again, you can put, you can change the due date if doing it automatically based on this. You can change all this. You can put a memo if you want. And again, because I'm using that GL table, you saw it was tied to office expense. It's calling the office expense up. Again, I'm just going to put the whole amount, but you know that you can split this once you've used up the 1,025. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do 1,000. And let's actually do freight. Let's choose a freight account. Since I'm using the freight as my example, see, $25 worth of freight. So I can do that, because typically the invoice should be entered that way because I have the freight charge. So I have it that way. Again, I can continue doing this. When I'm done, I just hit F4. Again, if I want to make any changes, I can go, I have some detailed header information here. But again, once this is done, again, this is in the system. What I can do is once it's done, if I want to call it back up, I can now do this document search here. And I can select the document, because remember, I entered the document, I ran my adjustment register, I realized I did something wrong. I need to go back and correct it before I'm going to post or do an update, so I can call the document back up and make any change since I haven't posted yet. So here I can make any change. Once I posted, I'd have to use the adjustment, registers and so on. So we're just going to say done. Okay, and then what we do is we do our adjustment register here. Again, the current period. Again, the nice functionality is going to show you again is the archiving, which is kind of good because remember we have to print, so we can archive. Again, we can give it a name. It tells you what we're archiving. And there's the GL distribution. I'm going to say OK to that. And here we've completed our archive, and then we can print if we wanted a hard copy, or again, we can continue. Just continue means the archive's done. It's not going to print or view anything. I'm just going to view it. Just want to make sure before I update. You should always do that. Should always view and make sure that before you post. So again, there it is. You can see the amount. Oops. There is our GL distribution. This is what's going to happen. That's going to go to accounts payable. $1,000 is going to go to office expense. $25 to freight. Again, if there's a problem, you would say no. It just stops, and you can do it. We're going to go ahead and say yes. So see what we're doing here is we're updating. By the way, very important, if you're running an update and you get any type of error, you must leave the error on the screen and please give us a call, because when you're doing an update, and you'll do this in all the documents, the daily sales register, when you're doing updating, what you're doing is you're writing to all those historical files, and the last thing the update does is remove the information from the edit file. That's why when you go back to a document adjustments or document entry, there's nothing here now because that's posted. So if you do get an error while you're doing that, you need to leave the error on the screen and give us a call. And this way we can check the error, correct the error, and continue the update as you go along. If you get out of the update, then you have all kinds of problems with duplicate transactions and so on. So just, best practice is that when that does happen, give us a call. Okay, so that's it. Again, we saw the document adjustment entry. This allows me to, once something is posted, to make an adjustment to it. I've already posted it. I realized the GL account was incorrect. Again, let's just which one I use this one here. Again, we can call up that document. And again, we can adjust the amount. So in this case, we made a mistake. We can adjust the amount up or down. So we can add by putting a positive, subtract by putting a negative. If we made a mistake in the GL account, we can leave this part blank, and then we can go here, and we can basically say, we can enter the original account, put a reversal, so put minus 1025, enter the new account, put a positive 1025. In essence, we're creating a zero document, and we're just posting to those two different accounts. Let's just delete that document. I don't want to make any changes to it. See, this is the type of an error I got. So if you ever do get an error like this, again, you need to leave it on the screen and give us a call. I'm just going to get out of it. And by the way, if this does happen, it's error. You just give us a call. It's error 32. Here's the line, and here's the program. I'm just going to do this. And normally, you should not do this because I'm just getting out of the program. But for the demo, I can do it. So that's that. The document change file maintenance, again, this doesn't require any update. Just this allows you to go in and make a change to something on an existing document. But again, we're just changing things in the future or dates, nothing that's related. So again, here you can see I can't change the original amounts. I would have to do that through the document adjustment and run my update. But I can change things like the discount amount because that's going to take place in the future when I pay the bill. I can also do this information here and just change dates and due dates and so on. So again, if you have an issue with a vendor and then it's due on a certain date and the vendor decides to give you more time or you need more time, you can go ahead and put the information in here. And then, of course, the document the entry and adjustment register, that is the posting. Once I enter everything and I'm ready, I just go ahead and I run this and everything's done. Okay, so that concludes our webinar today. Again, this is being recorded. It's available on our website. You can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this, as well as the others in our training series. And we'll be doing the FACTS webinars every Thursday at 10 o'clock. So you should be able to get on our email list, and we'll send you upcoming events of the different webinars we're having. And once again, we thank you for your time.